This is Bam Electric Ghost, and we're live on the air with Aisha Makara, creator, artist, world traveler, speaker, and author. How you doing tonight or this morning?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, we've got your website, https forward slash Aisha dot today. That will be fully clickable. We'll talk more about like what we find there. And then we'll also let people know that we are a featured podcast on the Newsly network. You see that listen on Newsly. If people use the coupon code of Ghost, they can check that out for a month free. That's an audio only platform. We like to get that out of the way and tell people about that. And then today we're going to talk about developing the creative energy inside you to establish an identity and carve out your own niche. So that's like part of what we're going to talk about. But again, thank you for being on the show. And one of the things we always ask anybody on the show, first thing we ask is, why do you do what you do, and what motivates you?
I do what I do because I love life and I enjoy each day when I wake up, and that's my book about joyful living. And my life is all about joy and abundance. And what was the other questions you said to me? Like what
Well,
I
what
do?
motivates you, and why do you
What
do it? But
motivates me? What motivates me? It's always different things. Like sometimes it's like a sunrise, other times it's sunset, and sometimes it's like a music that I hear. Sometimes it's my feelings, like after the breakup, sadness. It's like I don't know. It's many different things every time. It's just so. I'm an artist, so like you know, it's
yeah.
it's every day. It's a new day of exploration of myself.
So in terms of being an artist, you've got a lot of different hats, but like you were mentioning, you have your book, Joyful Living Guidebook. So what made you want to write that book?
Well, I was my life was turned to the point where I understood that all my dreams that I create for myself, it's become real. So I realized that I can actually create a book and help people by being joyful and happy and positive. You can always achieve all your dreams. Of course, it's not just like dreaming; it's also doing, but being in positive attitude. You can have not good days like up and down, but general stay positive and joyful. This is how you can actually like achieve all your dreams. That's what the point of sharing my advices and like some life experiences with people in my book and my art.
Yeah, because you got a lot of life experience. Because you've indicated you've been to over 60 countries, stamped on your passport, so that gives you a lot of life experience that I would think you probably dived into as your material because you actually live in it and you're in different and being in different cultures, being in different countries, it gives you a different perspective. Sometimes, like in the US, we got some people with Native Americans that haven't traveled, and then they have like resistance to different ideas because they haven't really gone anywhere. They might just stay in their little town. And that's nice, but like if you are too closed minded, then you don't expand. And this is
Exactly.
a very global world today. It could be 50 years ago you didn't need to be a global citizen, but we're global citizens now, even though we were then, we pretty much are definitely now.
America is the most expensive country to live in, honestly.
Yeah.
This is why it's not easy to get out.
Yeah, well, I lived in Japan for 2 years and I loved it. I would have stayed if I could have, but my job ended. But just this traveling, I mean, I had that one bug and I wanted to go more, but I was like, my company didn't want to send me, so I was kind of restricted by my own the company I was with. But in terms of like you got a lot of hats. I mean, you're an artist and you're an engineer. So how that's like left and right brain. It's like the logical brain and the artistic brain. How do you find a like uh, handling that? Because engineering is very it's kind of heavy. I mean, it's creative too. I would think there's like a creative aspect of it, but it would seem to be there's a lot of mathematics, there's a lot of like logical thinking. Being an artist, it's more maybe not as logical. So how do you kind of mirror like merge those two things?
I think I look at everything as a business. Like it's when I finished the school and I want to be archaeologist, and I had like two ideas. I want to be archaeologist and journalist, and I didn't get to any of them. And I was like, okay, Google, who we need right now, and they said to me, we need engineers and doctors in the country, And I said, okay, I'm going to be engineer because I couldn't, like, I knew that I don't want to be a doctor. I cannot, I don't deal with the blood, And I'm like, a
Yeah,
doctor
yeah.
is like blood. It's like, well, I didn't
Too
like it.
hard,
I didn't like general
too heavy.
hospital. So no doctor, but engineer, I don't know so much, but I'm curious. So I started to study engineer, and it was easy for me because I'm very good with mathematics at school. It was very easy to study, and enough time off to Norway. Finished my degree in Norway, and was the youngest engineer because I just decided to work right away. Like even I'm not finished yet, I decided to go and work, like just to explore in practical way what it is to be engineer. I've always been creative. This is why, like after second year of my university, I just knocked on the doors and I was like, can I work as an engineer with you guys? Can I work engineer? Like, and eventually I was hired by government, Norwegian government, and I started to work as an engineer and studying the same time. And I was creative all the time. I was writing like a stories. I was like always very creative at school. Like I did a theater and like different like newspapers, like doing different like a tinings or drawings.
Hmm.
And but it was like just a side things. I never considered myself like as making money as an artist, and
Yeah,
I was thinking like I will develop it on the side, like a hobby.
like
I
a
like
hobby. Yeah,
hobby, but I didn't want to do it like a full-time thing, just like on the side. But it's always my art is always was easy to sell. My friends is always buying my art. Whenever I was just creating maybe two, three, sometimes five pieces a year, and it's always was sold, And I was like never like thinking like, oh, it's a sign, like I should probably go for that. But it happened in the COVID. I started to sell my art a lot, and I was like, why not to do like a full-time artist things and see how it goes. And it went very well. It was 2021, 2022 was very like easy to sell. Eventually I sent my art to the space. It was one of my dreams, like to send
yeah.
art
SpaceX.
to
Yeah, you
the
sent
space.
something on SpaceX. Yeah. How
So
was
I
that?
just it's I have as a creator, I'm also a dreamer. I like dream, and I'm like, why not to send my art to the space? How it is to like if my art is going to fly somewhere in the space, how it is, how it is going to be. So my art is engraved in golden plates right now and flying somewhere in the space. Two
Oh, that's
artworks,
awesome. That's
and that's
cool.
of course
You got it out there in the universe. You got to be on the Earth
exactly,
to the
exactly.
Milky Way.
It's completely different mindset. I think as a creator, I feel like many of my artist friends asking me, how did you came with this idea? I said, I don't know, it's just ideas is flying all the time in the air, and some ideas are like arriving in
There you
our mind, and we're just creating it. And like, why not to accomplish it? And it's just like universe is always providing the opportunities, so you get to just be open enough and work through, of course, these opportunities. And it was challenging, and it's great. I mean, I can tell you the story of the challenges that I went through to achieve that dream. But the thing is everything is about like, as any dream you want to achieve, you get to go through some experiences, and still don't give up
Yeah,
towards your own, the things that you can't, or like you would like to achieve or would like to create for yourself. Because for me, when I dream about something, it's not about money, it's not about like being famous or being popular, or it's about a dream that I accomplish. It's about like I went through this experience and I made it happen for
yeah.
myself. I do everything for myself first, because
I think
I'm not
that's
doing it for anyone else. If somebody, of course, recognize it and would like to appreciate it, I'm very happy. To I'm happy about that. In the same time, I'm doing it first for myself. And until I'm here in this planet Earth, I always have a choice. When I'm not here, it doesn't matter anymore, you know?
Yeah.
But right for now, it matters. So all my dreams it matters. And in the end of the day, it's not about how much money I make, how famous I was. It's about did I achieve my dreams that I had for myself, you know? And I do. I achieve all of them, and it's great. I really love it about myself that I do it.
I think it's important for an artist to realize that again, it's not always trying to get on some top 10 list or the most views or the most sales. That like a lot, I know a lot of artists. I'm a musician, and I'm 57. A lot of kids I grew up with, by the time they were in their 20s, their guitar was just sitting in the back of the closet, and they never picked it up again because they didn't hit the goal because they wanted to be famous, or they didn't hit the goal because they didn't get all these shows, and so they weren't really playing the guitar because
Exactly.
they loved to play the guitar. They were trying to get to something else. I
Mhm.
never stopped because I love playing piano and I love playing keyboards and I love on it or not. I just do it. And what happens is like if you put stuff in the world, it's like a law of attraction. It'll find an audience. So you put that stuff out there and like you could be sitting around debating whether you should put it out or you could put it out. And if you put it out, yeah, there's gonna be people that don't dig it, but then you're gonna find a tribe of people that do dig it, and that's
Mhm.
where you go.
But I mean, this is what I used to say to the people. You know, some people will love you, some people don't. And it's not about like, oh, I get to be loved by everyone. No, it's about to be authentic yourself. In this
Mhm.
case, I get to be authentic myself. And every time what I'm discovering by me being me, I inspire so many people, you know, and by just giving them these ideas that you don't need to be perfect. I just talked to my manager today, and he was saying to me, wow, you inspire me so much because right now we're promoting my book to the next level, like marketing, you know, all that stuff. And we were discussing about the all this concept of the marketing. And he said to me, you're not American. You just came to America for a few years. You're like writing in English. You're right now talking in different podcasts. You're doing like so many amazing things that you travel so much and you've been and you're orphan. You don't have parents. You don't have money. You didn't come from nothing and you're still thriving and living in abundance and traveling around the world and and doing so many amazing things and you're so young and I said, well, I'm very happy that I'm motivating you. I'm very happy that it inspires you. That what matters for me, that you're inspired by that. That's what it means for me. If someone can be inspired by what I do, I'm already very happy. I'm very like grateful that somebody can see me, the way I am.
What's important
Not
to
like comparing me, not like judging me, like just not be envy, but being happy and seeing what I'm creating for the world.
I'm glad you didn't put that kind of limiting belief because a lot of people have these limiting beliefs and they can't ever really self-actualize. But it looks like you haven't had that problem, at least from what you've been saying, is that you've been willing to like even before you got to be an engineer. You said, "Why can't I do it now?" Like you didn't have a limitation in terms of like I want to be an artist. I'm going to do the art, and then people start buying your paintings. There are people who are artists and you go to their loft and they got like 100 paintings in their loft and they say they're not ready, right? And they're never ready. Like they're never ready to show it in a gallery or give it to the public because they have a lot of doubt about themselves. And it sounds like you've been able to kind of solve that. Like how did were you always like not doubtful of things, or were you always kind of like I think I should do it, and then you didn't second guess it, or did you have to grow into that?
No, I feel like I've been one of the kids who's first doing things and then thinking. I was not like thinking first and doing. I was first like, I'm going to do it first. Like I had the idea and I just go in and do it. I'm going to ask. I'm going to like
Hmm,
just do it. And that's my all
do
my
it, yeah.
friends who knows me. They say like, oh, you should just go and do it. And after like whatever's come with that, it's coming. That's it. And she will like working it out or figuring out on the way, how to manage it, or like if she wants to manage it. If she doesn't want to manage, she just like, oh, let it go. It's no
Go to
not a
that.
big deal. I tried, I did it, and I just don't like all that bullshit that's coming with this. I just let it go. And
Yeah.
how many ideas, how many projects I just let it go. I just give it to the people
But some
because
things don't work.
yeah, because like one of my first project when I was a kid, or like when I was a teenager and started to study my first year in the university, I started to go to the orphan house in Russia, and because I was one of the like when I was an orphan, I want to have like an adult who is coming, and talking to us, and kind of like sometimes bringing something like for the tea, like a cookie, so something
Mm.
like have a conversation, give a hug. So I start when I grew up, I started to be that person. I went to the orphan house, I started to talk to the kids, giving them a hug, asking them questions, and slowly like my other friends started to go with me, and the nonprofit we created, like after a while, like after 2 3 months, I didn't remember, but it was like a nonprofit. And after 1 year, less than 1 year, it started to be a lot of fightings and a lot of things about like how we going. I just went, when the orphan house needs some money for the renovation, or for the new year, for the Christmas or closing or whatever, I was always just go and ask for support from the different companies and stuff. And I'm just like being honest about that. I didn't do that for like, oh, I want to be rich or something. I just did it because of the kids. I wanted to
Yeah,
help
for the
them
kids.
first.
Yeah.
And but the people who worked with me, they didn't think like that. And I was
No,
so disappointed. I was like, okay, whatever, guys, this is yours. I don't care. I didn't want to do the nonprofit. I didn't want to do all that thing that you want me to do. I just want to help kids. Just go there and
it's up to
help
kids.
them whatever I
And
can.
there's a lot of bureaucracy. I think that's what some people don't like. Like if you're a person that's like a person of action and you want to
Exactly.
go and do something, and then somebody puts a bunch of rules and a bunch of processes, and then suddenly, if I'm doing 70% of the time, I'm trying to figure out the bureaucracy, and only 30% of the time I'm able to do what I was trying to do. Like I want to help the kids, but got me stuck in the bureaucracy. Like, why would I want that? I'd rather go and be more direct. Like, where can I spend most of my time, 90% of the time, helping the kids and less time with the bureaucracy?
Exactly. And this is what I said to them. Like, that was not my idea. You tell me to do that. And I said, okay, I will just go. And everything just rolls so fast. And I was very young. I was 17, or like between 17 to 18. But the thing is like, I just like, okay, if it works, it's better. It's better. I didn't have no idea. But that all these fightings and all this fighting over the money and how much the commission and this and that, I
Yeah,
was so
yeah.
confused. And I was like, guys, I didn't do that for the money. I didn't do that for the nonprofit. I just want to go one time in a week whenever I have time to help kids and hug them and just have this conversation with them and have a tea with them, with a cookies or with a cake, whatever it is, like have these moments just like connecting. I didn't want to create all of that, right? Like it was not my initial
It's not
idea.
your plan.
It
No, it's
was
not
saying
your
to
plan.
go that way.
Yeah,
Exactly.
well, yeah, well, you coming from that background is like you want that human touch, and all the other stuff is taken away from the human touch. And these other people seem to be not as concerned about that. They were concerned about the process, and you're concerned about the connection,
Exactly.
which I think people run into, like a musician. Like if you get stuck in the music business, like you get stuck in the machine of there's a whole machine within the record labels, and
Exactly.
they try to do all these things, and a lot of times there'll be everything but the music. You're doing everything but the music. And like, so a lot of musicians, like, will stay like, I'm independent because I want it to just be about the music. Like, I'm only happy when I'm actually writing and playing. I don't want to do any of that other stuff. Like, I don't, that's not what I want. I mean, that's why I don't do it for that. I don't do it
Exactly.
for the hype. I don't do it for the, to get in the magazine. I don't get to go on TV. I do it because I want to write this song that I kind of channeled into, and it's something in the universe, and I picked up on it. Like I think a
Exactly.
lot of artists we can channel, right?
Mhm.
We feel like the muse, we feel the universe, and we bring
Exactly.
it in. And
Right.
if you're in that kind of mode, it's like I don't care about what the marketing people say. It's like I'm doing it because I want to do it.
Exactly. I so when artists is the same was like a creating art. For me, like I said to the people after a while being artist for 2 years or something, and I sold my art for thousands of dollars. But the thing is, it was not about that. For me, artists coming to me and said to me, I sold my art after 7 years or 8 years to be an artist or 10 years to be an artist. I said, like you selling your art and just like putting your art here, your first year, like decided to be an artist. And I said, you know what? I already have my price because I build a business. I already work as engineer and I'm putting the price that I think that it's right for me and people buying for that price, and
Yeah,
that's not about like, oh, would I sell my art for $100? No, I'm selling my art because I decided that my art costs $1,000 a piece because I choose to, and people paying that money. And I'm just saying that it's not about like when I'm expressing the price or the values, I say to the people, it's not about. It's about the confidence. It's about the story. It's
yeah,
about the way we expressing ourselves, and all this marketing and all these things is happening. And I used to say, that, you know what? I don't want to do anything of that. I was so tired of like going from the event to event, from pop up to pop up, doing all of that. Sometimes you do sales, many times you don't. But the thing is, it's like in the end of the day, I said to myself, I don't want to do that. I just do art for myself, and people who wants to buy it, they will buy. But first of all, I started to do it as a hobby. I just decided to do that as a full time just to see, and it was, sometimes successful. But I decided that it's not what I want. That speed, American speed,
mhm,
like just go, 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 go,
yeah,
go.
churn
It
it out.
was not my way of living life. And everyone said to me, why don't produce more? Why don't do that? I said, I have moments when I produce a lot, and I have moments when I don't produce anything because I want to
Yeah,
travel. I want to maybe fall in love. I want to have something else. I'm a human being as anyone else. I have my ideas. And if I would be like a commercial artist right now, I get to produce all the time. They will be just
yeah.
on me all the time, just
Well, you're like
asking
a
to
factory.
produce,
Well, if
produce,
you
produce.
it becomes less fun. Like if you get stuck into a
Exactly.
like you get stuck being a commercial artist and you got to go in an office and go into a cubicle, then you got a manager, then you got committee, then you got people going through review boards, and it's like if you're just you know an independent artist, you put out what you feel.
Exactly.
If you're at a commercial artist, you're putting out what somebody's paying you to do, work for
Exactly.
hire, or you're on salary, and you got to do what they want.
Yes.
And it's a difference. It's like a control thing. It's like if you deal with a
Mhm.
lot of artists, it's about the control. It's like, can I independently create my art, whether I'm a musician, a poet, an actor, whatever. Like I want to, like if you're an actor, I want to do independent films. I don't want to do big budget films. I want to go do theater, right? Because that's where I think I can really hone my craft, and I think the work is valuable, and I like the scripts. But if I go see the big movies, it's like I might not be into those scripts. They might not talk about the things I want to do. So he's like, but you could be very successful if you're on that you're in the big theater. But like, is that what you want? Because like you could still be successful. You could be critically acclaimed as an independent actor
Exactly.
or as a local actor on a scene. You could be in a scene and you're big in that scene, but you're not big outside of that scene. But that might be good enough because that's where your heart is, right?
Exactly. Exactly. For me, you know what I learned, like I'm in my 20s, like when I had a boutique hotel, when I like built up the business, and I was learning a lot, because I didn't have any experience in the tourist industry after engineering, it was like was entering completely new field for myself. But the thing is like I was learning on the way, and it was successful. But the thing is running after million, as was like many people was doing that time. And I said to myself, well, business is completely different from the startup, you know and that's business you're building by the years, and you be involved with the community, you get involved with the government, you get involved with, especially like when business started to grow, you're evolving, you're evolving, and it's a natural process of business. And yes, you will get your millions, you will work your ass for that. But the thing is like you're working all the time, you're always
Yeah.
thinking very far away, until like, oh, I hire people this year, I get to hire 5 people, next year I get to hire 10 people, after this I will hire 20 people. It's good for the economy because you're paying the taxes, you're doing this and this for the good for the economy in general, and more employees you have, better for the economy, better for the local economy as well. But the thing is like the startups is completely different. This is what I used to say to the people. Business, you're building for the future. You're building it for the long term, for your kids, for the many, many generation probably. But the thing is when you're building the startup, you don't know.
Yeah,
It can grow,
it
or
might
it
not
can
work.
be just air. You're just spending all these millions for nothing. And that's for me, learning that process, of creating a business, building the business. I started to look at the art as a business, and I started to do like many things. I started to kind of like organize in my mind how I see that. And what I learned is that everything is a business.
Hmm.
It's on the business. I'm like, I was used before I was saying that I'm the NFT, but the thing is like I'm also the business.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's not so many people
You're the
realize it.
crypto. You're the crypto yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And that's people don't learn it, don't even understand, don't put themselves in that creative mindset to understand I'm the business. I'm the crypto. I am myself. I can be blockchain,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
people don't.
Well,
I
a
don't
lot of
know.
people, I think they want the safety of being in the box, right? So
Yes.
in my career, I'm a software designer, but I'm a consultant now, and I go from project to project. And I used to want the safety of being with a big firm as an employee, but I like the freedom of being a consultant because I can go and pick the project I want to work on and still do this and still do my art, still do my podcast, wear a lot of hats, right? So I'm a producer, a musician, podcaster, software guy. So I got a bunch of different hats and I want to do one more than the other, wherever I feel like at the time. So sometimes I want to do a lot of music, so I'll be working on that. Sometimes I'll do a lot of podcasts. I'll be doing a lot of podcasts, but it's like you get to choose what you want. Like you're saying, like if you feel like doing a piece of art, do that. If you feel like, "Oh, I want to go run a business and get into crypto or get into blockchain or do your art or go to Burning Man, like you're part of that. It's like that you have a right. You're not locked yourself in, so you can't do the Burning Man. Like some people lock themselves up in
Yeah,
a startup and then they can't do that and go to Burning Man because they're spending 90 hours, 80 hours a week doing their startup.
that's true. And that's why like I'm guiding people right now. I have like joyful living program, and I'm guiding people. I don't call myself like a mentor. I call myself like a guide. I'm just
Guide.
because I believe each of us has their own path, and I get just to kind of like help you to navigate yourself better with emotions, because we getting too much emotional sometimes when we started to meet these challenges and struggles. And I'm helping people or supporting people to enjoy them. I said it's opportunity for growth. It's opportunity. Look at this from the perspective of growth. Growth is painful, and it's
Oh yeah,
great to have that growth because life give you the opportunity to be better, to expand your box, to expand your comfort zone. And people don't, they so used to be in this comfort zone
yeah.
that also
Safety. I think everybody's scared of the wolf at the door. And the wolf at the door, you could get triggered by a word, you get triggered by a memory, you get triggered by whatever. But
exactly.
like you used to be a real wolf. Now people get like this, it's like a virtual wolf at the door, right? It's like you still feel like the lack of safety. Like people will stay in something that's codependent. They'll stay with a toxic boss. They'll stay with a toxic environment because it's like, well, at least it's predictable. I know what's going to happen. So even if it's not great or it's terrible, they know it. It's the unknown that causes the problem. Like if you're an artist, right, you could stay in your genre. Right. You could just stay comfortable. Like I got watercolors down. I got pastels down. Or I got jazz down. Or I got blues down. But like when you say, well, why don't I actually mix something? Why don't I actually do something I can't do? Right. That I'm not really good at bebop, or I'm not good at classical, or I'm not good at psychedelic. And then you try it, you're gonna push yourself, and guess what? You're probably not gonna do that great. You're not gonna do like the most amazing piece of work if that's not your area. but that's how you expand. And so when you expand, you're going to make missteps. You're
Yes.
going to make mistakes. And what we call them in music, a lot of times, I call them happy accidents. Sometimes
Exactly.
I actually would rather have a guitar player jump on the piano and try his song on the piano, the one he did on the guitar. And it will actually sound, even though he's not the best piano player, it might sound so unique and personal because he's going to do what he can do, right? And it might not be the best, but sometimes the limitation of not being an expert actually creates something that's really point in time beautiful. So sometimes if you put yourself into that place where you're not the most amazing person on that instrument, you can actually do a really good job. And it would sound so authentic and so vulnerable. That's the whole point of art. Is it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be perfect. It's actually the imperfections that what people find beautiful.
I agree. I agree. And that's, it's many people afraid to throw themselves there and actually, show up for themselves and see how, because many people are afraid for the critics, or like they're scary of like how people will react, or how people will like do the, and they like creating so many stories that is not even real,
Mhm.
and they don't even like doing the move of the out of the comfort zone. Like 99% of the people, population of the world, they don't move. They don't want to move. They need like a guide, or like someone who take them, like in a kindergarten, like
Yeah,
a teacher can take you to the toilet. Oh, here's the toilet. Oh, here is the go to the playground. Oh, go and meet this, Annie, or meet the Michael. Like, every time
yeah,
somebody they can go and
the guide
connect them, because they're very scared to do it themselves. And I'm just feeling like that's where people like still in their scarcity mindset,
yeah.
instead to go to the abundance mindset. Because I'm just, in one of my like chapters, I'm talking about like how you can actually switch your perspective of being happy and being excited, being curious about unknown, trust to that unknown. Because many times unknown, it's scary, and it
Mhm.
scares people. And I'm saying, no, look at this as a fairy tale. Look at your life as a fairy tale, as an adventure. And it's like, Indiana Jones going in adventure, and he's so brave, and he's like so alive. The some challenges is coming in his way, and he's just like, moving him around, and he's so alive. That's what
Sure.
life wants us to be. Life
Yeah.
has to want us to be happy, alive, and joyful, and take all these challenges with gratitude and grace. And in reality, what we do, we're scared of all these challenges.
Well,
Us,
it's interesting because you have like this nomadic type of process where you're going around, traveling in your van and you travel around the world. You go to 60 countries. A lot of people, they're scared of that, right? Like you said, they're in their safety zone, and it's and then they have a hard time understanding like the expat or the immigrant. Right, because like, I actually would loved it when I actually became an expat and would lived in Tokyo, because I got to feel what it's like to actually live in another culture where, like, English wasn't the dominant thing, Japanese the dominant thing, Shintoism is the dominant culture, it's like so I had to understand in Tokyo, in Japan, that if I wanted to go to the store and be able to understand, I had to actually start to communicate and figure out how to talk in their language, and I couldn't just force English. I had to learn something that was hard. It's like Americans have a hard time if they're not bilingual actually taking on other languages. We're like the least lingual of anybody. We other cultures like for 5 or 6 languages. We like barely can do two, maybe just do one. And so to actually put yourself in a place where you're not don't have your native culture as the dominant culture that I think that opens up your mind. And if you can understand, it's like it seems like people who don't put themselves in that situation that have blocks. They're very blocked. And I think people need to get unblocked.
I feel like what's stopping many people, nothing. It's just themselves, you know. And every time when I'm saying to myself, what's stopping me to be the best version of myself? Nothing. It's just myself. I just going and show up there and just shine my star. The thing is just it's all about ourselves. We get to create the reality that we desire, and for that like this or that reality that we created, we get to be clear and intentional, and not just clear and intentional, and also practice some
Mhm,
qualities that we have, but we haven't practiced it because we just like to gossip, or we just like to be sorry about ourselves. We just like to play victims,
mhm.
and that's the habits that many people have, and they cannot switch these habits to just positive thinking, just practicing, mantras or affirmations in the morning, or meditation, just set up their minds just in a peaceful space. And no, they just used to be like to be stressed or sorry or sad or whatever, depressed. Drink They have a drinking problems or smoking problems or whatever, like addictions that they have. And it's all like this anxiety and this like feeling scary for living life.
Well,
But
life
like
life 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 is not gonna be perfect, but I think people have kind of built things into a fairy tale, right? So they got this fairy tale idealized vision, right? And so as soon as they hit a roadblock, then they're like, "Oh," like
yes,
they don't know what to do. It's like thing with like if, as a musician, there's something that happens, right? If you're playing live and you hit the wrong note, you can either play it off and actually evolve the song and say, there's no bad note, there's an opportunity. Or you could be the
exactly,
guy that actually everybody knows you hit the bad note because the way you react. Like if you react like, oh, I got to start the song again, then everybody knows you hit the wrong note. But if you react to like, I'll just actually evolve the song and go with with a variation, nobody will even know you made a mistake. You're the only one that knew you made a mistake. So if you actually live your life where like that bad note, there is no bad note. It's an opportunity,
exactly.
right? To actually evolve the song. So you can evolve your life. Like, yeah, you take a misstep and like, I don't want a captain of a boat that's never been through a storm because then if we hit that storm, he's not going to know what to do.
I used to
Right.
say to the people like this as well, like when you look at your life, let's say like 57 of your years of your life, it's like thousands of days that you have lived already. And the funny things, people focusing many times on these bad days that they have experiencing something. And I said, like, how many days of your thousands of days that you experience amazing things? Why you not focusing on these 1,000 days that have been amazing? No, you decided to focus on that painful days
Bad day,
that
one
have been
bad
in
day.
your life, and you like started to just go back to this story again and again and again. Why? Why are you doing it? I mean, I understand if something bad happened like 2 days ago or 1 week ago, and you're sharing with your friend, but this thing says is like when the things happen like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, why you come back to that space again? It just was 1 day, maybe 1 week, I don't know. But the thing is like how many bad days you experience in your life? It was just maybe like 1 week, maybe 1 month of all your life, of
Yeah.
that days. But the like thousands of other days was amazing, was great.
I think people like just they ignore the good times and they focus on the bad time, right? So it's a matter of like reprogramming your mindset. So if you can program your mindset to say, I had like 365 days, I had 340 days where nothing happened that was bad. But I didn't prioritize those things like successes. I focused on 25 days that were bad.
Exactly.
Right. And that doesn't really help you. Like I say, how is that going
At
to help you?
all.
Unless you have a good lesson learned and you learned from the experience and you actually evolved and did have a plan. So if you get
Exactly.
triggered by that feeling from that bad 25 days, you do something that's actually going to get you back into the 340 that were good or
Exactly.
even better, like the best of the best of days. And so it's like if you can do that, then okay, that's productive. But if you just obsess, That's not productive.
This is what many people obsessed.
No,
That's the problem. But the thing is, like, when people think, "Oh my gosh, you experiences is not easy days when you've been orphaned." Probably it was like such a heavy. I said, you know what? I was a kid. I didn't have anything to compare with. I didn't have anything to like say, "Oh, I don't have this," or I don't. I just experiencing my childhood the way it was. I didn't. I I didn't think like, oh, it was like a heavy, because I don't know how I would know, because I was like just I was a kid that was living a kid life. And of course, when I'm getting older and I started to compare and started to see, oh, some kids experiencing this, and and I didn't have any toys, or I get to share with 100 with the 20 kids like the clothes or shoes or whatever. But like that's create the idea of abundance.
yeah,
That's create the idea of that I'm sharing absolutely everything. Like, and that's that created the idea that I'm living in abundance. And that's like it's not about like, oh, this is my jacket, or this is my shoes, this is my room. No, it wasn't like that at all. But it everything was shared. It was nothing mine, it was ours. And that's the difference between like having my stuff and having our stuff. And I believe
mhm,
like a planet Earth is our place. We're
yeah.
all here family. And it's like when I'm going to explore new places, I'm saying like I'm going to meet my new family that I don't know yet. And I'm going to meet right now, and they're going to be my family. And this is what is happening like around the world where I'm going. I always have a family. And
Mhm,
that's because it's my attitude. It's because the way I go and explore new places, and that's I think the beauty of it's just idea that you're creating in your heart and your brain, and just you going and exploring and you understanding every people are people everywhere. They all wants to give you
yeah.
help, you hug, serve you the best the meal they have, share the place that they have, their friends, everything. And they want to be your family, at
Well,
least
you
in my
got
life.
the well, you've got a traveler kinda, mindset where, like, you get the traveler mindset where you feel like, "Yeah, I'm a global citizen, I got a right to travel the planet, and I'm gonna look at people as not, like, a problem. I'm gonna look at people as, like, people are an asset, people are an opportunity, people are gonna enrich my life." But a lot of people, they look at other people and it's like, "Well, this person's gonna hurt me. This person's gonna compete with me. This person's not gonna understand me." But if you go in, you have a more empathetic point of view, or you're more excited about, like, I want to learn what's different about this person because what's different about me gives me my identity. So what's different about them gives them their identity, and it's cool to actually interact and find out what the differences are.
Mhm.
Right? But some people are scared of the differences. It's like they got a fear, and there's like, oh, there's less safety if they're not like me or not like what I know, right? And so I think that's the problem. Is like you got to get out of that mindset that says it's scary to meet other people.
Exactly. I used to say, like part of me already flying in the space and exploring the space,
Yeah, well, you
And
get out
like, I
there,
used
like,
to
who
like,
you gonna meet out there? Like, you get outside the Milky Way, or even like you're gonna meet somebody that you don't know. You're gonna meet all kinds of. You're gonna run into all kinds of phenomenon. Once we can break out of the Milky Way, and like this, we're such in a tiny spot in space, and they say
exactly.
there's so many Earth-type planets in the universe. So the idea that we're the only one is like the science has already shown there's tons of Earth-type planets all over space. They know it's not fake. It's not Star Trek. It's actually real. We just can't get there because the tech doesn't have the ability to get outside of our own galaxy at this point.
At this
But that
point.
doesn't mean that we won't find a way to be able to bridge that difference and figure out the tech that probably, obviously there's probably tech that's out there that allows people to travel, intergalactically. But that's like science fiction. But just because we don't know it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
I
so
agree.
the
I
so
agree.
the mindset that, like, if we can't even handle the differences on our own planet, How are you gonna handle differences from, like, interplanetary differences?
I agree. I agree. And that many people like like when I was living in America, many people don't even know like where the Central Asia is, or they're not even like good with the geography of like how the world works, how many
So,
countries in the world, and how many languages in the world, and their traditions and culture, and like the folk music and many amazing things that it's here in the planet Earth that we don't know, and many people don't know. The thing is like it still exists, it's still there, and it's so beautiful and amazing that we are so different, and we are here in this planet Earth, and we're all sharing this human experience.
yeah,
And these people don't realize like every time when I'm going through the experience and I'm saying I'm not alone, because someone in some point in this lifetime that I do, they're also sharing the same experience. I just don't know that person.
yeah, but
You
that's
know?
why you shouldn't be scared to put your art out just because it doesn't match whatever's popular. See, I think whatever's popular is like is very destructive to, like, art because it becomes super restrictive, and I've always been kinda like, I like things on the bleeding edge, or I like to talk to people who are doing something that's in a emerging independent artist that's not doing what's in the top 50, what's even in the top 500, right? Because I want to see, and whether it's film or art or music, whatever it is, I like to see what's going on in the independent areas where artists are allowed to be artists and aren't trying to jump on trends, because I want to see what's out there, right? And the corporate world wants to give you what they say is art, and it's
Mhm,
usually very restrictive and very cookie cutter
mhm,
of
mhm,
other things that they okay, that's gonna trigger the algorithm. That's gonna get us a lot of sales. That's gonna do that. I'm not really interested in that. I'm more interested, like, does that actually make me feel something?
mhm,
That's my goal. Like, if, like, I see something that doesn't make me feel anything, and whether it makes me happy or angry, if it's making me feel something, I'm gonna get interested in it.
that's what I do. I'm living with my heart open, and I also used to say to the people, no matter what's going to happen, like disappointment is happening, the frustration is happening, uh, heartbreaks, whatever, relationship doesn't work out that the way you expected, or still have your heart open, and continue to learn, continue to be open to the new things, continue to shine your light, continue to be authentic, and continue to believe in magic, continue to trust magic and create magic out of your life, because it's life. Life has absolutely all of it, and it's so much to explore that we don't know about yet. And we get to be curious and open to learn from our heart, not from our brain, because brain is always trying us to protect,
Yeah,
from
it's a
whatever. Say exactly. Heart is here to live, because remember when the baby getting growing in the belly, the first what is happening, it's a heartbeat. You know, that's the first what we started to develop is our heartbeat, and that's what we get to like understand. We get to listen to our heart.
yeah, it's a real feeling. Well, it's the soul and the heart and the spirit. Like,
Exactly.
and the mind comes in, but, like, when it comes to art, it's like what pulls on the heart, like what pulls in the soul, what pulls spiritually. Like, so talk about the mystical. You talk about, like, I'm part Native American, part Cherokee, and Blackfoot. There's the idea of spirit animals, the idea of the earth being like Gaia. It's
Yeah,
that you respect the wind, you respect the fire, you respect all the different elements.
correct.
You respect animals. You believe that animals, whether science told you or not, are sentient, that they have feelings, that they have souls. There's some people that don't think that because they say, well, I can't prove that. It's like, well, I can see it and I can feel it, so I know it. I don't need to be proven it. I kind of know that that's the what it is. But that's just the idea that you can have magic and spiritualism and mysticism, and those are things that make humanity Interesting. Because if it's just all logic, I don't know if I'm going to be. And math is cool. I deal with math every day, but it doesn't move me. Hit by the
I
soul.
think, like for people, like our DNA connected to the old DNA in the planet Earth. Absolutely everything we connected to, absolutely everything. So I feel like we connected to absolutely everything. We connected to all the ocean beings. We connected to all earth beings. So I
Yeah.
feel like it's people get to understand. We like, I'm, for example, more spiritual I get. I started to kind of like, even like when mosquito is in my like attacking my blood, I'm just letting him to do that, you know and
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes,
Well,
of course,
insects are beings with you.
I get annoyed. Of course, I still like killing them, but the thing is like, I'm doing my best. Don't do that. I
Yeah.
understand. I get to be way more gentle within myself, because with myself and within myself, because
Mhm.
we're all connected, and way more gentle we are with ourselves, we become way more gentle outside of the world as well. And it's because we're getting way more deeper connected with ourselves, with
Yeah. I
our
think
heart.
modern humans have kind of become disconnected,
Yeah,
where, some humans have put themselves at the top of the pyramid and they say, we're at the top. And they don't understand the interconnectedness of the plants and the insects and the other animals on the planet. And
yes,
then they felt like, that's why there's a lot of things out of balance, because they felt like, well, we can just wipe this animal out. We can wipe this insect out. We can change this environment because we control the environment.
yeah,
But guess what? Gaia controls the environment. The,
yeah,
the, the earth controls the earth. So the
yes,
human being gets things out. So even when we get things out of balance, the earth will always try to get back to balance.
yeah,
And the problem is,
yeah.
human beings might not like the result of the earth trying to get back to balance because it's not always going to be in our favor.
Yes. Like, look at this, what's happening right now in Tennessee and in South Carolina.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, the Earth is always balancing things up. Earth is always doing their own work. It doesn't care like we're in this planet or not. We're all interconnected. We're all like moving in one big galaxy that's
Yeah,
uh,
well, it's gonna write itself. It's written itself before, man. We've had ice ages and we've had non-ice ages. We've had ages where the volcanoes are all erupting.
yeah,
The Earth will balance itself out. In some
yes,
cases, some parts of Earth's history, like with all the volcanoes were going off,
yeah,
human beings couldn't really be there,
yeah,
right? But certain animals could be there, like insects could be there. But like so there are periods on this planet where certain animals might be better attuned to where the earth is at that moment,
hmm,
right? And so and we have to do all these alterations to actually fit. Now we're
yes,
smart enough and capable enough that if you just will shift with it. But there's a lot of stuff in terms of we need to understand what the earth is trying to do.
yeah,
Instead of trying to tame it, sometimes we need to kind of understand it. And I think sometimes we spend so much time trying to tame it that we've maybe got to a point where it's like, oh, you actually can't tame it because it's going to do what it's going to do.
exactly. I feel like you get to just accept things. I'm here like, I learn one things. I get to be in peace within myself, because and pray for all the people in this planet Earth, that they can be in peace within themselves, and like enjoy the life, because I used to say to people, we just have a one life, and this life is just one day. One day you come here, one day you leave from here, and
Mhm.
it's going to be just a day as any other days. But the thing is, that's going to be your first day and it's going to be your last day. So just think about the day that you are here today,
Mhm.
and improve yourself. Be kind,
Be
to
kind to yourself.
yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be gentle, be loving, caring, and learn how to be that. Like, just practice that. Yes, it's not easy. It's not easy to be loving. It's not easy to be caring. It's not easy to be gentle and have the idea of it and practice that idea every day. Improve yourself day by day. just be a little bit better. Sometimes like maybe it's going to be worse, sometimes it's going to be better, but like do your best every day, whatever best is today, and that's the people don't like, they just too much in their heads,
Too
too
much
much in
noise.
their like.
But I think that's a great place to kind of end our conversation today. But because I do have another appointment, but I want to let everybody know about your website. So
Mhm.
if people click on your URL, what do they find there?
You can find my about me, and you can find my about my book, about my mentorship program that I have one by one. You can schedule the call with me, and you can also go to the Amazon and go Aisha Makara Joyful Living Guidebook. You can find me on in American Amazon. I'm right now on hardcover, so like you can. I'm on a different platforms. You just also like Google me, Aisha Makara, and you can see what I created so far. Yes, and you can also, of course, on my website you can see my art, some part of my
Right.
art, and my Instagram account.
Well, we want to encourage people that link will be fully clickable.
Yes.
We were just on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and it's fully clickable in our podcast description. And we'll be on all the other major podcast platforms you can listen to or watch a podcast by tomorrow. I want to thank you for being a guest on the Family Like the Ghost podcast, and appreciate that you took the time today to be on the show. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. And joyful living. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you very
Bye
much.
for now.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.